All right, Alico 3. Let's do a PSA reholder order. These came back within the past month. Turnaround time on these is quick. I mean, they get these back in your hands in less than a month a lot of the time. If you do pay up for the $17.50 per service level, the $8 per takes months and months. So you got to figure if it's worth an extra $10 to get your cards quicker. To me, these were because they were more high-end cards, and I think they'll look better in the lighthouse than the old slabs they were in. Some were scratched, scuffed up. A couple probably had cracks on the edges. So PC cards, a lot of these I've had in the collection for over a decade. So to me, it was a no-brainer to get these done. So we'll start off with some shine. That's the 50 gold too. That's the 50. That's a good one. A card that I think the value in this is 700 plus, especially in a PSA 9. They don't pop up that often, and the Ultimate Collection is pretty sought after in this hobby. So, great Roethlisberger. That's got a 150 print. This SPX Gore, if you ever buy these raw, this bottom foil comes out pretty ragged. So, I mean, and I looked this copy over closely. So, something else with these cards is before I sent them in to be reholdered, I did my best job taking a look at the card and making sure the condition matched the label, which as a collector, it's important to me. Some people, I mean, if you're an investor, it doesn't really matter if you have a 10 that has a beat up corner. But to me, it matters if they're going to stay in the collection. And these were all PC items. So Bowman Chrome, this is on card. This is a great card. I don't know what that scratch is. I think that's just an imperfection on the slab, which, oh well, I'm not going to send it in again. But that's 199 print if you're curious. The Bowman RNS, which stands for Rookies and Stars, I think that's what it stands for. But see that edge right there? You could argue and say, oh, that white on the back is enough to push this down to a 9. But I mean, it's going to be hard to find a copy of this card that's absolutely perfect. And PSA doesn't say that a PSA 10 has to be perfect. There are specifications for it. I think it's 60-40 or better centering. Small imperfection on the back, typically. I think a small allowance on the front. It just kind of depends. It's somewhat subjective. But here's your 2000 Bowman. This is a great one. I was thinking about how many copies they made of this card. And there's got to be like 200,000 at least. If you just think about all the hobby boxes that were printed, I would say 90% of the time, if you break a hobby box of 2000 Bowman, you would hit a Brady, and that's just how Bowman was back then. If you break 98 Bowman, you're gonna hit a Manning and a Moss most of the time. And so here's your Prestige to 2500. So this card is way more rare than the Bowman Brady, but that doesn't matter at times in the hobby because people like the Bowman, and he's in the official Patriots uniform, which probably helps. This showcase has a huge following. This and the EX I've noticed have exploded, but and this has a print of 2000. So the showcase in an 8, which is very respectable for this set. Foil issues, chipping. This corner is like almost. I've seen copies where it's like almost pulled up, like peeled up before. So that's a tough one. Picked up from the National. I don't remember what I paid for it, but this is when I was doing the Mickey Mantle run. I kind of fell off that because I got so focused on a run that I just completed this week, which is the Nolan Ryan Topps run. So 68 to 93. I will do a video on that because it was a lot of fun. But the Mantle and a 7, that one's staying in the collection for sure. Ionics Futuristics Brady gets a 9. Great shine on this puppy. This is the gold Calvin Johnson to 50. I actually sold one of these. I had 2 copies of it. I picked the one that looked better and kept it. Sold the one that looked weaker. I think it sold for like $600, like within the first 12 hours of being listed on. It wasn't My Slabs. It was eBay. PSA 10 SPX 04. Just an impossible set if you guys ever try. Back in the day, I would buy these raw. Like I'd buy like Roy Williams, Kevin Jones, Reggie Williams, all those guys, Lee Evans, Tatum Bell. I'm just throwing out the names from that set. You know, of course, Fitzy and the quarterbacks, but that was a fun set back in the day. But I mean, you would buy those raw, and they just come chipped off almost every time. 1325 Donruss. I mean, this is a great one. Donruss. It doesn't have like the classic rated rookie, but it is a Donruss, and I think this card's got a lot of potential for the future. Push these to the side and get to this one. This is a monster. I think these are approaching $8,000 now for the upper deck. I always thought this card was great. I was talking about this one years ago, and it is getting a lot of respect now. So this is a 10. These are tough to find in 10. Just almost impossible. There's always something small with this card, whether it be a little corner push-up or white on the front where it's blue. But that one looked great, so I kept it. It looked like it could pass for a 10. I can't talk. Stardate 2001. This is your man, and this card might be over $1,000. I don't know if I'll post prices for all these. It's tedious. I think if you're curious on a price, you guys can do the market research. On some of these, there probably won't be any market research available. Here's the SPX Breeze. So this is the blue. I don't know why they don't just put blue signed jersey on here, because there is a gold with a different photo, and it's out of 250 as well. And they have their own prints, so there's 250 of each, so 500 total if you put them together. But the SPX, I've always preferred the gold, but I don't know. So here's the Ultimate Collection. That's Rivers. He doesn't have a ton of hobby. I've noticed his stuff's really, really low, but I think eventually he'll be a Hall of Famer, so that might help his stuff in the long run. I think it's going to hurt him. He didn't have a Super Bowl appearance or ring, or I don't think he might have had an MVP. I don't think he had an MVP either. I mean, he was probably a top 3 finish guy. And the streak's been snapped. I talk about this card, how I've sent in probably 100 copies, and I've never gotten a 10. But this one was already in the collection, as you can see. It's got the 0 at the start, so that means it was graded a long time ago. So don't think you're going to see any more 10s pop out of this if you just sent this card in. I would bet thousands of dollars that if I snapped this out, sent it in, it would come back a 9, the exact card. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know why I would do that, because you're just asking to lose a couple $1,000s. But 9, just to prove a point out of spite. I don't think I'll do it. Print 230 in this. This is the Rookies and Stars. I mean, these aren't selling for much for the career he had. Not getting a lot of respect, but after you retire, people move on to new players. PSA 9. That's the non-protected refractor. Somebody told me this story on the non-protected. There is some bit of knowledge on these that I forgot. I'll have to read through my comments at some point, but this one makes sense because this is a 9. See how the rookie is up to the top? There's like no space between the rookie and the top edge, and on the 10 there is. So I mean, I could notice a substantial difference between the 9 and the 10, which is nice to see. SPX Pujols in a 9. That's a great one. The autos on these are always spotted. I really don't know why. Here's the Contenders Rivers. I believe the print on this is like 570 or 555 if I can recall. Somewhere in that range. Here's an 8.5, so we saw a 10. Sometimes they put these in the thicker holders, and sometimes they use the thins. I don't know why on this card, because it's like 35 point. It's got a little jersey window, but it's extremely thin. That's the Bowman Chrome. That's a nice one. Topps Chrome for 14 to 50. No one got a 10. This was another Donruss 8, so we saw a Donruss 8 on this, and that's pretty typical. And 8's actually really solid for this set and this card. And you know, I've got an 8 at home that's a lot nicer, but this one is it's respectable. You know, it can pass as an 8. It's off centered. It's 70-30, 65-35 maybe. Some soft corners. I mean, it just looks like an 8. This is sweet because these come in those starting lineup, almost like a. It's not protected. It's just in that little piece of plastic, and the card can rattle around. So a 10 on that's almost impossible. 04 Bowman Chrome. That's the gold to 50. That's a sick one. This is nice. Lynch and that's a 10. That's the 50. This is a rice that I love. I've had it for years too, and I've bought copies of this card in a 9 before, and I just haven't been pleased with. I just didn't think the condition was up to par, so I sold them. But this is one I've always kept because I thought it has qualities of a 10, and I think it. I think it's really close to a 10. If I had to grade it, I wouldn't grade it a 10 though, because this corner up here is just imperfect. There's a little spot right there, but I think it's just a really solid 9. So. The rice tops, and that's in the collection. I think I've only got 2 of that card, just an SCC 85 and a rice 9, and I'm cool with that. Here's your Bowman Chrome. It's got a scratch right there. That's just straight from the Reholder factory. Bowman Chrome Cal. Ultimate Collection Eli 150. Great card. He's well with this puppy. Card's probably close to 1,000, right? Bowman Chrome Eli 199. This is such a good looking set. They didn't make an auto for Fitzgerald. I always kind of wondered about that. His stuff was kind of weird because his SPX was a lower print to 100, and his contenders is like a 50 print or 40 print. Cal Ripken. That's the traded. That's probably one of the coolest baseball cards I've ever seen. That hat's neat. There's something about that hat that's cool. But the 82 traded. Futuristics, Brady, we saw this one already. So, I mean, there's some doubles you're going to see through here because I tend to collect or buy the same cards. Cards I think have long-term potential. This was picked up at the National, too. Just, I think it was right at 2,000. I thought it was a good deal. The card looked fantastic, too. So, the Ultra and a 10, this set's very difficult. Let's just say it. Put it that way. A lot of struggles with these sets over the years, so I have respect for a lot of the grades. There's another Prestige in an 8.5, which is a set that has mainly surface issues, just scratching down the front. But pros and prospects. This card's gained a lot of steam. I know a 10. I want to say I sold a 10 for like 9,500 not that long ago, and the reason I sold it is because I think I had it screened at like an 8.5. So I was like, okay, this card's overgraded. Let's sell it. I tend to do that a lot. Calvin contenders in a 10. So a couple of these have a print of 525. Sometimes I can recall the prints on the contenders. Here's an 8, Rookies and Stars. I did see a PSA 10 of this up in auction from 4 Sharp Corners. It's actually live right now, and I see white right there just like that, and then there's white on the back just like that. So how much better is that card quality than this one? Probably just a little, but what kind of premium is it going to get? A lot. Young Guns McKinnon. This card is like 1,200 to 1,600, I think, in a 10. It's crazy. Frank Gore contenders in a 10. That's sick. Here's the Topps Chrome. These were impossible pulls too. You have to check the pack odds, but they were like different groups, like Group A through E or F, and the best rookies, I think, like Peterson and Calvin, at the time Jamarcus Russell, were all like Group A, and it was like 1 in, I don't know, 10 cases just to pull one or something. Donruss Elite in an 8.5. So I don't think we saw this one yet, but Donruss Elite is a very cool set. And this is a very tough set as well because the back's always got chipping on this black, and this one's no exception. So, probably accurately graded. Here's an 8 on the Donruss Elite. I always thought this set was cool back when it came out, but I was chasing like Peter Warwick and Ron Dane back then. 150 on the Rogers Rookies and Stars auto. That's sick. And now this next one is, it says the certified auto gold. I know there's a bronze, so I'm thinking the lettering is gold here on the front and back. I'll have to check out my other copies, but this one is more limited for sure. If that's the case, I think I'm speaking correctly, but I'll do some research after I finish filming. Topps Chrome LT to 100. Yeah, it's definitely off-centered. It could almost be an 8, actually, the way that one's centered. And then this is one that I showed it in the past, and people just thought this card was so cool. And I definitely loved the card. I bought it years ago for it was a good price, like $300. And I was like, this is going to be a good one in the future. So that's the Spectrum, 25 and a 10. And then this glossy I've had for, I don't know, at least 5 years, maybe more. 5 to 10 years, this glossy. So if you ever study this set, or if you ever open the factory sets, they come off centered almost every time. And this one is centered up, and the 9s that are centered usually have these factory lines right here across this jersey. And I tilted this one, it does not have it. The back, you're always going to see a little bit of white because of the way they cut it. There's just a small sliver on that corner, but I think this definitely would pass as a 10. So the glossy Griffey, and you don't ever come across these either. I think the pop in that is under 40. Mystique Brady. So we didn't see this one yet, but the Mystique Brady has a 2000. There is also a gold one that is not numbered, and this is just gold, I think, which I'm not really a fan of that one. Ultimate Collection. This card is just sick. I don't know what else to say about it, but it's the Ultimate Collection. It's on card. It's limited. It's Fitzgerald, so that's just a huge card. And then we did have 2 of this one, so the Future Watch. Check the back for chipping, and this one is pretty much free. Let's check this edge down here. I mean, you can get really picky, but there's a small thing of white right there. It depends on how picky you want to get with when you're looking these cards over. Here's another 8 Rookies and Stars. Let's compare that corner. See, that corner is a little more substantial than the last one we saw, so I would say the last one was nicer. It's got that sleeve on it, and it doesn't look good because there's like residue, almost like a filming on that sleeve. Last card. This is a long ass video, but we're finishing off with the Shiner 93 Finest Frank Thomas Refractor. That's sick. So, of course, that 93 was the first year of refractors. And that's it, guys. Just reholders. I'll put a few of these in the store, but a lot of these are just collection cards that I just like, and I like the value increases I'm pretty sure they're going to have in the future. That's it. Later.